पढ़ाई और भी मज़ेदार हो जाए जब खुद अवस्थी सर पढ़ाएं। उनसे जुड़ने के लिए उनके चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन को दबाएं उनके लेक्चर्स को सबसे पहले देखने के लिए।
Hello students, welcome back to the second lecture of energy and power signal. This lecture is in continuation with the first lecture where we have discussed the energy and power of a continuous time signal. In today's lecture, we are going to focus strictly on a discrete time signal, that is x of n. Right? The basic formula remains same. The only difference is that in place of integration, now we have to deal with summation. So let us first see the formula for the energy of a discrete time signal. The formula says minus infinity to infinity mod of x of n ka whole square. This is how we find the energy, and as far as power is concerned, this is the formula that we will be using to determine the power of a discrete time signal. Right? This will be 1 upon 2n plus 1, and here we will be using mod of xn whole square. Fine. The difference between the two formulas is here we have an additional term, that is 1 upon 2n plus 1. In almost every book you will find this particular formula, but most of the students find it difficult to remember both the formulas. So what we can do is we can change this formula into limits as well. You can rather write this formula as limit n tending to infinity, fine, and this will be small n is equal to minus n to n, and rest of the formula remains same. See, now both the formulas are in terms of limits, so now it becomes relatively easy for you to memorize both the formulas. Fine, the formula in this form is also okay, and formula in this form is also okay. The only difference is I have incorporated a limit term so that it becomes easy for you to memorize it. Now, let me tell you one very important thing. While finding the energy and the power in case of a discrete time signal, at times you will come across two very basic summations. One will be minus infinity to infinity a to the power n. Now, this is an infinite n running from minus infinity to infinity. Now, this is an infinite GP, and the sum will be a1 minus a. This is how we'll be solving this particular equation. So if you are able to remember this, if you memorize this, things becomes very easy for you when you solve these questions in your semester examinations. Another very important form that you will be encountering while solving the problems is at times you will get a summation running from n1 to n2, and here you will be having 1 to the power n. Now this becomes very important because at times a number of students get confused when they see 1 to the power n and the limit runs from two different values. n1 and n2 can be two different values, and you have to memorize this. This will make your task very, very easy. The answer to this summation will always be n2 minus n1 plus 1. So we'll be using these two formulas readily while solving the questions. Let us understand this topic in a better way by taking few very relevant examples. Relevant in sense I'm talking in terms of your semester examination. So let us take the very basic question. The first question, x of n, this is a discrete time signal and its value is given 1 upon 3 to the power n into un. And you have to find whether this is an energy signal or a power signal or neither energy nor power. Fine. So let us start from the very basic. We shall start from finding the energy of this particular signal. Right. So the formula for energy is E is equal to, I am using the second formula, reason being it helps me memorize the formula. आपको भी मैं यही suggest करूंगा कि that you use this particular formula minus n to n, but well, if you are following any local book, then no issues, you can use any formula you want. Fine, this is how we'll be finding the energy. Now let us put the values. This will be limit n tends to infinity, and here you will be getting n running from minus n to plus n, and on doing this square you will be getting 1 upon 3 to the power n. Here you will be getting mod square and u of n. Now we know the basic nature of un. As soon as un comes into action, we know that our signal is only existing for the positive values. This will help me change the limits for the summation, and now my new summation will run from 0 to n. Please make a note of this particular step. This is a very important step. Fine. And this will be, I can write it 1 upon 9 to the power n. See, I have taken the square inside, it becomes 1 upon 9. Now this resembles this formula. N is equal to 0 to n, a to the power n, and I know this is an infinite GP, and the solution will be 1 divided by 1 minus a. This will lead to 9 upon 8. So see, the energy of the signal is coming finite. Fine. Now, just because the energy is coming finite, we can't leave the question midway. We have to see what the power of the signal is coming. So let us find the power as well and see how the expression is solved. For power, I'll be using limit. This is n tending to infinity, and this will be 1 upon 2n plus 1. And again, my limit will run from minus n to n, and here I'll be using 1 upon 9 to the power n into un. Now again, un will come into action, and this will become limit n tending to infinity. This will be 1 upon 2n plus 1, and this will change to 0 to 9, 1 upon 9 to the power n. Fine. Now see, I have got 0 to n, a to the power n. So what I need to do is, I have to find the sum of this GP, and the sum is, let me first expand this GP. Fine. This will be, I am just writing this particular expression. For n is equal to 0, this will be 1. For n is equal to 1, this will be 1 by 9. And then I will be getting 1 by 9 ka square. And likewise up to n terms. This is how my GP will come. Right? And what is the sum of the n terms of the GP? Sn is a 1 minus r to the power n divided by 1 minus r. And I have to make sure how many terms are there in this particular GP. So once I'll be using this formula, my sum will become limit n tends to infinity. You don't have to write this step while solving. 1 upon 2n plus 1, and this will become 1 minus the number of terms is n plus 1, and this will be 1 minus 1 upon n. Right? Now, once you solve this particular step, you will be getting the value 0. What you have to do is, you have to put the value of n limit after solving this particular expression. Fine. I hope you have understood this particular step, right? See, the power of the signal is coming 0 and the energy is coming finite. So this confirms that my signal is indeed an energy signal. Fine. Now let us check another question, another very good question. Now the second question says, my signal is x of n is given as e to the power j. This is pi by 2n plus say pi by 8. This is my signal, and I have to find whether this is an energy signal or a power signal. Now let me tell you very important step. Mod of xn here will obviously be 1. I have already discussed this concept in the previous lecture. Reason being, this is e to the power j omega types. Fine. So mod will always be 1. So while finding the energy, I can directly say this is limit n tending to infinity, and this is n running from minus n to n. This mod is obviously 1. Fine. Now see, this mod is 1, and here I'll be using n1, say n2, 1 to the power n. So this was n2 minus n1 plus 1. So this will give me limit n tending infinity. N2 is n, this is plus n plus 1. So this will come out as 2n plus 1, and on putting the value of n, the first term is infinity. Infinity plus anything will give you infinity. That means the energy of this particular signal is infinite. Since the energy is infinite, I am damn sure that it will be a power signal. Fine. There is another approach to solve these kind of questions as well. What you can do is you can directly check whether the signal is a periodic signal or a aperiodic signal. We know e to the power j omega is a periodic signal, and since it is a periodic signal, we are damn sure that it will be a power signal only. It cannot be an energy signal. Fine. So this is another method of doing this. Since E is infinite, we have to find the power as well. Let us try to find the power. The power can be determined as limit n tending to infinity. This is 1 upon 2n plus 1, and again n is running from minus n to n, and this particular expression was 1. This was 1, and I have already solved this particular value. This particular value comes as let me first write this 2n plus 1, and the solution of this term gives me 2n plus 1. Now these get cancelled and I get 1. Since the value is 1, I am damn sure that this particular signal is a power signal. Fine. I hope the logic is clear to everyone. We have to do almost all the questions through the same particular method. Now let us take another example. This is the next question that we are taking up. Now again we have to find whether this is an energy signal or a power signal. So let us first try to find the energy. The energy will be limit. I am writing the formula repeatedly so that you are able to memorize it. Fine. And n running from minus n to n and mod of xn square. Okay, na? So this will give me the energy of the signal will come limit n tends to infinity, n running from minus n to n, and this will be cos square pi by 4n. Now see, in order to find the the expansion or the summation of this particular term, what we can do is we can convert it into cos 2 theta. The cos 2 theta formula is 2 cos square theta minus 1. From here we can conclude that cos square theta is nothing but 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. So I'll be using this particular expression here, and this will ease my calculation. This is limit n tending to infinity. This will be n is equal to minus n to n, and this will be 1 plus cos pi by 2n divided by 2. Fine. So what I can do is I can take this 2 from here and I can put it here. It is a constant. Fine. Now see, this particular term is a multiple of cos pi by 2, cos 90. So this will always be 0 irrespective of the number of times I expand this expression. So what I'll be left with is 1 upon 2 limit n tending to infinity, n is equal to minus n to n 1. Fine. And I know that this expression is 2n plus 1. I have just solved it. 1 by 2 is here and the limit is n tending to infinity, and ultimately this will give me a infinite value. Since the energy of the signal is infinite, so I'm damn sure that this cannot be an energy signal. So finally what I have to do is I have to find the power. So I'm directly writing the value for the power. This is n tending to infinity. This is 1 upon 2n plus 1, and the solution of this term was 2n plus 1. Here I had 1 by 2. So this gets cancelled and I get 1 by 2. That means the power of the signal is 1 by 2. So indeed it is a power signal, right? So I hope with these 3 examples you have understood the concept. in examinations you might get a signal that is defined piecewise. You have to do this question by your own. For example, you might get a signal, say xn is 1 upon 3 to the power n for n is let's say for n is greater than equal to 0, and this is, say, I mean it might be n for n is less than 0 or whatever. You might get a piecewise signal, so that doesn't matter. In fact, let us make it say 3 to the power n, and you have to check whether this is an energy signal or a power signal. So it is nothing but two questions combined as a single signal. We have done these kind of questions in continuous time signals, so I am not addressing these questions in this particular lecture. Now see, there is again a very small topic, that is causal and non-causal signals. Causal and non-causal signals. When we will be discussing systems, then causal and non-causal systems is a very, very important topic. But in your syllabus, the signals part is not mentioned, but still at times you get questions, because causality and non-causality for a system is specifically mentioned, but for signals it's not mentioned. The concept is very small and very easy. The logic says, if let me take a continuous time signal xt. Fine. Try to understand the concept. If I'm saying that xt is 0 for every t is less than 0, that means on time axis, if I'm moving on the left hand side and I'm getting xt is equal to 0, then I say that my xt is a causal signal. Make a note of it. For t is less than 0, if xt is 0, then I say that xt is a causal signal. If not causal, it has to be non-causal. Fine. If it is not causal, it has to be non-causal. Fine. Let me explain you this concept with a very basic example. It's very, very easy. For example, you are given a signal xt is equal to e to the power at ut, and you are asked whether it is a causal signal or a non-causal signal. Just by seeing the function, you can say that since ut is there, that means function exists for t is greater than 0 only. You will not get the value of this particular signal for t is less than 0. That means I can definitely say that xt is equal to 0 for every t is less than 0. And since xt is 0 for every t is less than 0, so indeed it is a causal signal. Fine. Just by proper inspection, you can decide whether a signal is a causal or an anti-causal. Xt is equal to, say, if I say e to the power minus 10t u of minus t. Now this signal will 100% be non-causal. Fine. I hope you are getting my point. Why non-causal? Because u of minus t ensures that the signal does exist for values less than t. If it does exist, that means xt is not 0 in this case. And since it is not 0, so I am damn sure that this signal will be non-causal. Fine. This signal will be non-causal. Again, let me take a discrete time signal. For example, if I am taking xn is nothing but un plus 3 minus, say, un minus 2. And I have to see whether this signal is a causal signal or a non-causal signal. So what I need to do is I need to first draw un plus 3. So un plus 3 will be somewhat like this. It will start from minus 3, minus 2, minus, this will be minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, this will be 1, this will be 2, and so on. Fine. This will be your un plus 3. Likewise, you can plot un minus 2 as well. Un minus 2 will shift your graph 2 places right. Fine. 2, 3, 4. And what I have to do is I have to subtract these two graphs. So while I'll be subtracting these two graphs, I'll be getting, it will start from minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. Minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. The graph will not exist beyond 1. Fine. Now I have to check for n is less than 0. If x of n is 0, I am sure it will be a causal signal. So simply by examining the signal, I can see that the value exists in this region. and since the value exists, the signal is indeed a non-causal signal. Fine. This is all for today's lecture. I hope you have understood the concept of energy and power signal for discrete time signals, and the very basic concept for causal and non-causal signals. Stay tuned. If you have found the content of the lecture worthy enough, do like it, share the channel, subscribe the channel, share the videos if you are not sharing it. We'll come up with a next video very soon. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.